Hello. The history of the Middle East is one of the oldest on earth, but also one of the most violent. For thousands of years, this region has been a meeting point of religions, cultures, and civilizations, yet also a center of endless wars. Today, I want to talk about one event that changed not only the Middle East, but the entire world, the creation of the State of Israel in 1948. An event that was born from pain, but sadly brought even more pain. To understand how everything began, we must go back more than 2,500 years. According to Jewish tradition, the people of Israel were guided by the prophet Abraham to the promised land. That land was the small ancient Israel where they built their first community. However, over the centuries they were conquered and expelled several times, especially by the Roman Empire. Since then, the Jewish people have dreamed of returning to their lost homeland, a land that became a spiritual and political symbol. For centuries, they lived scattered around the world, facing persecution, discrimination, and finally, the horror of the Holocaust. After World War II, more than 6 million Jews had been murdered by the Nazis. The world has shocked, and people want to show compassion. In 1947, the United Nations and the United Kingdom decided to support the creation of a Jewish state. However, that decision ignored the people who already lived there, the Palestinians. Palestine was not consulted, and its people were forced to accept a territorial division imposed by others. In May 1948, the State of Israel was officially declared. From that moment on, the Middle East entered a new era, one filled with wars, displacement, and political conflicts. Since then, the Middle East has been in constant conflict, and its people have been suffering for decades. That's why we can identify key moments that define what happened next. The United Nations decided to divide Palestine into two states, one Jewish and one Arab. However, the distribution was so unequal that Israel received more territory and better resources. This caused the displacement of more than 700,000 Palestinians. Over time, Israel expanded beyond the borders established by the United Nations. The more it expanded, the greater the resentment grew in the Arab world. The region became more unstable than before, and violence became part of daily life. Between 1948 and 1973, several Arab-Israeli wars took place. Each war left thousands of victims, new refugees, and more hatred. Instead of building bridges, walls were built. If war leaders had listened to both sides before drawing borders, history would have been completely different. If the United Nations had warranted security for everyone, not only for one group, maybe peace would have lasted longer. The leaders of that time should have sought reconciliation, not revenge. Because, as history has shown, the more people fight for land, the less they understand its true meaning. If those decisions had been fairer, the Middle East could have become an example of international cooperation. Instead of becoming a symbol of war, it would have been a symbol of unity and forgiveness. The world would have learned that pain cannot be healed by displacing others, but by building mutual understanding and respect. Hopefully, future generations will learn that peace is not declared. It is built every day with respect and dialogue, because the future of the world will not depend on borders, but on the ability to understand that we all share the same planet. And I truly hope that peace will finally be a keep in this region, which has suffered for far, far, far too many years.